Okay, we are live here at World Series News, and we apologise for interrupting your scroll. You're going to want to stop and listen to this brand new news update. It's not in our logical sequence of events where we go live 3 times a week. This is in between. Simon's contacted me overnight from Florida, and he says there's just too much news that can't wait, and we've agreed to put this show out today. It's coming live half an hour before our normal news broadcast, so it's urgent. And if you can, please share this show far and wide. You'll be glad that you did when you get the update. I'm going to bring Simon in right now. Simon, welcome back to the show. This is a bunch of very important information that we agreed that you can't really wait another day. It's just too important. And the service that we provide here at World Series News is to get the news out before the mainstream so that people can get the facts and then compare that to what they're being told in the main narrative. So welcome, Simon. Let's get started on the show.
Okay, thanks, Jason. So, really quite an extraordinary turn of sequence of events today. So, first off, as all the audience will be aware, yesterday and today there's been the big Arab-China business conference running, right? Mm-hmm. So they've announced that just yesterday, $10 billion worth of deals were signed. Just yesterday, right? Yes. They're totting up, because it's just closed a few hours ago, all the deals that have been done today. One of the deals, and this is very, very significant, that was announced was a $5.6 billion deal for a Chinese electric vehicle manufacturer to set up a manufacturing line inside Saudi Arabia, with a view to exporting the vehicles to Europe.
Wow.
Okay? And they'll be able to export them, of course, by rail, potentially.
Yes.
So they won't even have to risk them going on ships, because there's been, car fires and ship sinking and all kinds of stuff like that, right?
Yes.
Now, they've specifically said that this is part of their program to try and bring their manufacturing sites closer to their eventual markets. So what we see here is Iran becoming a raw material source and a transportation hub, and now a vision that the Chinese appear to have bought into, because this is not being marketed as a one-off exceptional deal, right? Mm-hmm. This is the trend, okay? This is the start of the trend for Saudi Arabia to become a manufacturing hub, but not subject to the strategic risks that Europe now poses for Chinese investments being deemed subject to either de-risking or decoupling.
This is a massive announcement,
okay?
Simon.
So
this is huge.
This is the kind of stuff that I'm trying to bring to the audience, and why I'm kind of like freaking out. Like, we need to get this information out urgently. Now, amazingly, despite having a very, very good website for the conference and having set up a bespoke Twitter feed where they've been linking to the live feed for each of the panel discussions, right? On some of these, I have been the only person in the world that has been retweeting these developments. It's like, like even I, who is the kind of like prince of obscure news, I'm astonished that I'm the only person watching this. Now, in one of these events, the Saudi Arabian energy minister, who's obviously a big freaking deal in Saudi Arabia, right, was asked in his like decision-making process how he factors in criticism from America about Saudi Arabia's new relationship with China. Okay, guess what his response was?
Go on.
I totally ignore it. That's a direct quote.
Yeah. Wow.
Okay? So that's another just like massive televised FU to the United States.
Yes.
Okay? Now, moving on. We've got Raisi has turned up in Venezuela. getting the huge kind of like, rub down welcome, right?
Yep.
The day
So,
he arrives, they kickstart a refinery that supposedly the Iranians have been working on refurbishing. So that's a huge deal for Venezuela to actually be able to produce finished petroleum products. Okay? Now, not only that, which in itself is highly significant, right? But they announced, and bear in mind, he's doing like this Caribbean tour, right? That they're going to, with Iranian help, reopen a second refinery in Venezuela, reopen a refinery in Nicaragua that's long been dormant, and reopen a refinery in Cuba.
wow, this is massive. This is going to provide the missing link in terms of resources and income for these countries that have been failing for so long.
So what this enables Venezuela to do is not only to be able to produce its own gas for cars,
Yes.
and distillate and aviation fuel and all that kind of stuff, right? But also to be able to send it to friendly countries like Cuba and Nicaragua, who are also going to be able to refine it themselves. So it's all part of a diversification of refining capacity to enable them to not have to worry about getting anything from either Mexico or the United States or Canada.
Now, just for people's comparison here, Venezuela is one such country that's lined up and asked for entry into the BRICS. Many people were wondering if they would be a weak link, but this is one way of bolstering Venezuela to give them financial support, independent financial support there, Simon.
Yeah. So the next, and this is just like massive news after massive news, right? So we had mentioned that Kennedy was going to give a big speech on foreign policy on Tuesday week, okay? And we were going to announce this news on our show with Alex Jones that at its third scheduling was supposed to have happened this afternoon, right? Rather frustratingly, to put it in polite terms, he decided that the summary information that I had provided his producers with was so significant that he now wants to do a commercial-free, long-format documentary recording this coming weekend with us. But I frankly told him I wasn't going to sit on this information, and so we're telling the audience this now. Okay? Now, RFK Jr. is literally in 20 minutes going to be on Glenn Greenwald's weekly Monday show, and I would encourage people to watch that. But I don't anticipate that he's going to reveal his full hand, but it's still likely to be significant. Now, the huge news is that his announcement got covered by the media all over the place. I forwarded it on. I sent it to you. We discussed it on the last show we did. Okay? But what I hadn't seen, because I didn't think, it didn't occur to me that with hindsight, maybe I should have done, to double check the mainstream media's version of his press release. So I went back, got the original press release, and this is what it says. Now, all of our regular listeners will understand this, but I'll explain it straight afterwards. I'm going to read this one paragraph. It's only one paragraph, right? So it says, in his presidential campaign, Kennedy has been an outspoken critic of the U.S. proxy war in Ukraine. This speech will place his position on that war in a larger context. It will define a new conception of American leadership in the coming multipolar era.
There you go.
Okay.
Explain that.
So what we've got there is that it's not just a special military operation, but it's a full-fledged war. It's a proxy war. But more than that, far, far beyond that, he appears to be recognizing, and bear in mind when he announced his presidential run a few weeks ago, right? He specifically said, and this is a direct quote, U.S. foreign policy has entirely collapsed.
There you go. Wow. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Now,
yep.
what he's saying here is we have a new era upon us, and it is one of multipolarity. And that is exactly what all of the BRICS nations are saying. Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, but specifically being embraced and enunciated by the founders of the Greater Eurasian Partnership in the new era. And what is he talking about? The coming multipolar era. It's the same era. It's not American hegemony. It's not the Western rules-based system. It's not the New World Order. It's not NATO. It's the new system that's upon us. And he is the first American politician to publicly recognize this. And he's going to announce how he sees America's role in this in 8 days' time.
This is what they call a watershed moment in American politics, because Kennedy is no slouch. His approval rating is catching up to that of Joe Biden. There's murmurs in the background, Simon, that Gavin Newsom may be coming out and announcing that he may wish to stand for president of the United States, which would therefore open the pack right up, wouldn't it?
But his problem is he was hoping to have it handed to him by Biden dropping out on ill health.
Yes.
He's the governor of California, and not only are they pursuing reparations, but they had all the vax mandates, and also they've now passed in the first reading a bill that basically removes all parental rights to interfere in their children's gender transitions. And that if they object to their children being mutilated by the state, the children will be taken away from them. It is the most crazy child theft extreme policy in the entire world. And if he signs that, will be the absolute kiss of death for any candidacy in pretty much 45 out of the 50 states. So that is just an absolute deal breaker. You know, he may get away with that in Washington, Oregon, Illinois, and New York, maybe. Everywhere else, they'll be like, you're an absolute genocidal maniac, and nobody will vote for it.
Well, it's exciting news, therefore, for RFK Jr., because he's only saying what is obvious around the world. He's just saying it in a territory that's not expecting ever to read this. So this is going to be a massive interview today on Glenn Greenwald's show. And, of course, next on the 21st, isn't it, that he gives this big foreign policy speech?
He's giving his speech on the 20th.
20th, yep.
On the 20th, right? Now, you and I have discussed this in advance of this emergency broadcast, and just let the audience know that it's our intention to be the best and the earliest analysis of RFK Jr.'s speech. That's going to be roughly from 7 to 9 p.m. On the night of Tuesday the 20th. So starting at 12 midnight that night, after I've had time to re-listen to it, analyze it, check any historical references that he often makes,
Yep.
then you're going to do your show, the regular TNT show, and then
Yep.
we're going to go straight at midnight my time, 2 p.m. on Wednesday, the 21st of June, Sydney time. Wednesday, the 21st of June, Sydney time. So that's approximately 3 hours after the speech will have ended. Okay. We're going to do a special broadcast just looking at this issue.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Now,
Yep.
the last things that we're going to get quickly into is Blinken,
Yep.
the US Secretary of State, has announced on a trip to Italy today that he is convinced that Sweden will be accepted into NATO before the Vilnius summit in July.
Okay,
So
that's a big deal. Yep.
That's big news. Okay. Now, the other information is that the plan, which has now been put before the Israeli parliament, the Knesset, right?
Yes.
That we discussed on previous shows once or twice, that seemed like a harebrained scheme with no legs, but it now looks like there's going to be a vote on it. Okay.
Go on.
For the plan to physically divide the Al-Aqsa Mosque compound that's currently under the jurisdiction of the King of Jordan into 3 zones: a Muslim zone, a Christian zone, and a Jewish zone. Okay?
Yes. Go on.
The Jews
Yep.
want to have the Dome of the Rock so they can rebuild the 3rd temple.
This is
It is
possibly
it literally could trigger Armageddon. And
Indeed.
I use those terms advisedly. Okay? So
Yes.
a Jordanian political party, just literally less than an hour ago, has said that this is a declaration of war, that they want an immediate vote on the issue in the Jordanian parliament. They want the government to renounce the Waba Treaty, which is basically the 1994 peace treaty between Jordan and Israel. They want the Jordanian government to withdraw the Jordanian ambassador and to expel the Israeli ambassador. So that would be a full breaking of diplomatic relations, right? And this should be seen in the context that just hours before this, the US commander of CENTCOM went and visited the King of Jordan, and he was wearing his camouflage uniform, not his dress uniform, despite visiting the head of state, to whom he's like 4 layers below. He absolutely should have been wearing his dress uniform.
Yes.
And so that was a huge insult. Now, I mean, that in combination with the news that this scheme that initially appeared like harebrained fantasy may actually go to a vote. And, you know, given the kind of things that are going through the Israeli parliament at the moment, you know, it might pass. You have to remember that Ben Gvir wrote into this facility just a few days ago with protection from the Israeli police that he controls, and called for Israeli jurisdiction to be exerted over the premises and the custodianship of the King of Jordan, which has existed since 1967, to be ended. Okay? So this is the kind of thing that the entire Arab League could get behind, renounce all of their participation in the Abraham Accords.
Yes.
And Israel suddenly finds itself in a state of declared war, if not hot missiles in the air war, against 22 countries.
This is truly incredible. This is it's something that we've talked about our entire lifetimes. I mean, this is pure history playing out before our very eyes. What motivates Israel at this stage to go with this? Is this something that's just beyond normal human relations that they truly believe that
No,
could be
it's
biblical?
literally fulfilling messianic prophecy. Now, the
Yep.
other thing that has happened before this, right, was the US State Department, it's been revealed by a Lebanese newspaper, has been begging the Israeli government to delay their announcement of the formation of the E1 corridor, which was a land grab to go from East Jerusalem all the way across the West Bank to a couple of illegal Jewish settlements that would have cut the northern half of the West Bank
Yep.
physically from the southern half of the West Bank. So the West Bank would have become two Gaza strips. So instead of there being Gaza and the West Bank and the Palestinians being able to drive from north to south in the West Bank, albeit around all kind of Israeli roadblocks and illegal settlements and stuff, that they would basically chop that area into two. Okay? So once again, just yesterday, the Gulf Cooperation Council specifically caused for a halt of these projects. So not only if they go ahead with this, will they be flipping the bird to the US State Department, they'll be flipping the bird to the entire 6 members of the Gulf Cooperation Council, including Bahrain and the UAE, who have signed the Abraham Accords and are due to go to the conference in Morocco shortly. So these are all just massive developments. Right?
They are absolutely massive, Simon.
To get into the last one,
Yep.
because I know we've already run over what we intended by just a few minutes, but this last point is very significant as well. Poor Imran Khan
Yes,
is
go on.
just being slammed from pillar to post.
Yes.
And his barrister has put out an update of him today. So I'm just going to read through this, okay?
Yep.
It's translated from Urdu, so the syntax isn't perfect, okay?
Yes.
But it's saying Imran Khan left Lahore to travel to Islamabad at 4:30 a.m. today in order to appear at the High Court in a petition where we had requested the transfer of 9 cases to another venue. Okay? The hearing was held, and after a full day was transferred to the court's judicial complex. Now, the reason why they wanted that is because it provided him with better personal security. Because if you recall, there was detailed reports of a second intended assassination attempt when he was in one of these state court facilities. So he wanted to go and have some of the cases consolidated, so it was easier to have bodyguards and so forth present. Okay. A case was registered by the anti-corruption unit in Dera Ghazi against Imran Khan's sister and sister-in-law, and in that case, we got protective bail for 2 weeks. In 9 other cases, we got bail from the judicial complex. In 3 of them, we got bail until the 4th of July. And in 6 other cases, we got interim bail until the 19th of June. The DIG, which I believe is the District Inspector General, went to the headquarters to join the investigation of 8 other cases and appeared before the JIT, which I believe is the Joint Investigation Task Force, in 4 cases and joined the investigation in another 4 other cases. After all that, Imran Khan returned to Lahore at around 8 p.m. Now, how freaking insane does that sound?
Oh, it's more than insane, Simon. This is clearly a big fat game to stop Imran Khan and to exhaust him in every way possible so that he cannot run for election, which is still trying to get in October, despite Imran Khan saying that he still thinks he holds 2/3 majority of the people of Pakistan who would vote him back into power.
Now, bear in mind
Yep.
that this is basically what's being done to Trump now. Okay, he's facing 37 counts. Now, another online magazine called The Messenger interviewed two national security law specialists. They're attorneys with special, top secret security clearance, so they can represent people in disputes with the government, right? They've said that Trump, who was talking on a Spanish language TV station today about his case, is literally talking himself into pre-trial detention. Because
it's interesting you say that, Simon, because a lot of Trump supporters are predicting that Trump will actually be behind bars at some time in this particular case, and it seems that all of these other activities going on at the same time are leading toward another conclusion.
Their point is that because his mouth runs away with him, and he's talking about ultra secret government documents, they said any other person would already be in a maximum security prison with special management contact restrictions. And he said that if he keeps on doing what he's doing, that whether it's on Tuesday, tomorrow, Miami time, or in a few days subsequent to that, he's literally facing the possibility of being held in not just prison, but solitary confinement. Okay?
Yeah.
So this is exactly what I've been saying to you, that he's constantly talking about these top secret things. So they said at the absolute minimum, they would expect a gag order that was placed on him in relation to the rape allegations that he faced. And they said that, even as the president, that's the minimum that he should anticipate.
Well,
but they said any other person, even a vice president, would just disappear into a deep, dark hole, because the whole point is that he had all these documents that many people believe related to France and Iran and possibly the UK and the submarine deal, and American plans to attack Iran with the Israelis. They're like super, super secret stuff. And he's just running around mouthing off about this stuff.
Yeah. Well, it seems like he's deliberately trying to provoke them at this stage.
So we'll be able to discuss that on our regular show on
Wednesday evening, Thursday morning, our time.
On Wednesday night to look into that. I'm not saying that he will definitely be in prison, but these respected specialist lawyers, two of them, are saying, look, he's really pushing his luck beyond all reasonable expectations. Okay, so that's all the news. Our listeners have got it first. I know we're coming up to the hour. We're definitely going to end right now. So just invite people to please share this far and wide. They're massive breaking stories, right?
Yep.
You're getting it first. Nobody else is talking about this stuff. I wasn't exaggerating when I said I was the only person. When I said the world, I meant on Twitter. Somebody might have forwarded it on Facebook. I'm not looking at Facebook. Okay.
Yep. Fair enough.
People are getting this first, and they're getting it explained. We'll be on again on Wednesday at our regular time, and then hopefully we'll do some coverage of InfoWars at the weekend. But we'll also do our other shows. The final thing I'll mention very, very quickly is don't forget on the 14th through the 19th, as we've previously indicated, there's going to be the St. Petersburg International Economic Forum. And in much the same way as there's been huge news in Riyadh and Jeddah this week with the Arab-China Business Conference, I'm anticipating there'll be huge news out of Russia starting from the 14th of June. Okay.
Yeah, indeed. Well said, Simon. That's a fantastic update. You've got it first here on World Series News. We'll cut it off now, right on the 30-minute mark, and I ask you all to please share it far and wide. And if you can, in the comments, let me know if you still think that Trump can win the White House. Just to let us know your thoughts. We'll end it there. Thanks very much, and we'll see you all on the next show.